And maybe the way to illustrate that is this. If we take a very simple example of $100 in, say, a 401k that accumulates a very consistent 5% return over 20 years, you know, it's going to grow to about 260 and change pre-tax, but then we'll end up paying tax on that at the end, and it ends up going, you know, getting eroded to about $170, $191 or so. That would be the equivalent end result as if we just started with $72 and accumulated 5% compounded return on it on a tax-free basis over 20 years. We get to the same point. So it doesn't really matter whether or not the government takes its chunk out early or whether it takes its chunk out late. That's different for a taxable account in which the federal government, or state, as the case may be, essentially has what would be equivalent to a carried interest in the returns associated with the account. The taxing authority does not have a claim on the principal corpus, so it's just on the incremental return. As a result, the investor actually bears less than 100% of the risk associated with those returns because the government absorbs some of it. And this is a simple example that illustrates that. You know, if we have an investor that has a $100,000 portfolio and there's 3 equally likely outcomes of 25%, 10%, or 5% loss, that's a nice, simple 10% expected return on a pre-tax basis and a 15% standard deviation or volatility. But if we have a 25% return, the government, of course, will tax some of that. So on an after-tax basis, it's really only 15%. 10% would really get a